Thousands of documents from 2 criminal investigations into the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have been released in the US. Among the files are details of Epstein's contacts book, which offers a glimpse into the sheer number of his wealthy and powerful associates. Today is the legal deadline for the Justice Department to make the information public, although the Deputy Attorney General said earlier that not everything will be released in time to meet that deadline. Let's go straight to our correspondent, Tom Bateman, who is in Washington tonight. The scale of this release, Tom, is huge. What are we learning so far?
Well, this is a case, Jane, remember, that has convulsed the political system here in Washington. And the release of these files had been demanded by Congress, who in the end forced the hand of President Trump to create this legal deadline today. Now, we were expecting the files to be released around 8 p.m. UK time. In the end, they were a little over an hour late. And this is a vast trove of information. They've been released on the Department of Justice's website, categorized into former investigative records, files themselves that the Department of Justice had been looking into, now made public, and many, many new photographs.
The files include pictures of Bill Clinton, here appearing to be in a hot tub and in a swimming pool. The images are undated and without a clear location, but they are in a batch that appear to show Epstein in a series of foreign locations. Another shows the former president alongside Epstein himself. Clinton was photographed with Epstein several times over the 1990s and early 2000s before the financier was first arrested. He's never been accused of wrongdoing by survivors of Epstein's abuse and has denied knowledge of his sex offending. This image shows Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell outside 10 Downing Street. Again, we don't know when or why. There are thousands of pages of documents and images in the Department of Justice release. Many details are blacked out. Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution in 2008. Today's trove of files is from that and later investigations. They're expected to scrutinise what happened at his luxury homes in Caribbean islands amid claims he lured young women and girls to be sexually exploited. Further charges in 2019 never went to trial. Epstein was found dead in his prison cell. His associate Ghislaine Maxwell was later jailed for 20 years for helping Epstein recruit and traffic teenage girls. But questions only grew about the pair's connections to high-profile men. In material already released, photos of his friendships with princes, presidents and billionaires. All denied any wrongdoing, and there is no suggestion of any misconduct by the individuals shown in the pictures. But Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was stripped of his royal titles over his relationship with Epstein after allegations that he abused Virginia Giuffre, allegations he strenuously denied. Donald Trump knew Epstein for years, but says he kicked him out of his club in the early 2000s for being a creep. The call to release the files has convulsed his party, but earlier this year, the president was resisting.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Standing with victims, lawmakers have long called for the files' release, Congress finally forcing the president's hand. But still, a top Republican on the committee that helped push it is warning of consequences if the administration doesn't release nearly everything.
This president, he's agreed to comply with this law if he signed this law. He had a part in making this the law, so his attorney general has to comply with it, and there are penalties if she does not.
Given the scope of the released files, it will take weeks, if not months, for everything they reveal to become clear. Officials say many more documents will also be released in the weeks to come.
And Tom is still with us, and as you're suggesting there, this is far from over tonight, Tom. Where does this go politically?
Well, first of all, Jane, clearly the work to sift through this huge amount of documents and images and videos begins now, as we are doing, and many others, of course, as they scroll through all of this material and try to make some sense of it. Remember that there have been things that have been released previously in the past. Not everything in here will be a new disclosure. So there's a huge amount of work to do there. But I think in terms of the political response to this, you know, the Department of Justice and the White House have been under huge pressure to pivot away from Mr. Trump having previously appeared to oppose the disclosure this year. His hand was forced, including by members of his own party. And we saw really full consensus in Congress for today's release. Now, the technical deadline was midnight. They've got this trove out before that. But we heard from the Department of Justice earlier today that many, many more hundreds of thousands of pages of files will still be released in the coming weeks. Now, that has already got Democrats on the House committee that had helped pressure this situation pretty angry, because they regard this as not being enough already, and they've been saying that in the run-up to it today. They are already accusing the administration of a cover-up, and they say a denial of justice to the victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein.
Tom, thank you for now. Tom Bateman there in Washington. And given the sheer scale of this, our correspondent Andy Verity is with me as well. Also looking through this, we're reflecting just how much there is to go through. What else have you been able to pick up on thus far, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that globally there are hundreds of journalists going through this stuff right now. What's new, that we definitely know is new, is some of these pictures that we're seeing. So pictures of Bill Clinton. There's a picture of Bill Clinton with Kevin Spacey in there, and we've got pictures of Epstein, Jagger and Clinton together. So we've also got pictures of other people who we already knew had spent time with Epstein. What may bring us more information about people closer to home, perhaps, is when we are able to look through properly and thoroughly the documents that have come out of the litigation between Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, that's where we had lots of mention of Andrew, and there are lots of unsealed court documents which may yet yield more revelations.
And of course, just because someone is in a photograph with Jeffrey Epstein or from his estate, that does not necessarily mean wrongdoing. His contacts were wide and numerous.
By no means. And I mean, he had we've seen his contacts book. He knew the entire financial community. He knew lots of celebrities and royals. He was a man who cultivated that. It doesn't mean that they did anything wrong.